Today, I'm going to talk about zombies, my bad experience in Malaysia, queues, and you, and basically what does that have to do with work intake. Before we begin, if this is your first time here, welcome to my channel. And if this is not your first time here and you have not subscribed, which according to data, majority of you that watch my video does not subscribe to my video at all. So I would suggest that if you can, do me a favor, go ahead and click on subscribe. And if you would like, go ahead and click on the bell notification so that you get notified when I put out a new video. So let's get going. So zombies. So what about zombies? So I am not a big fan of zombie movies, and partly because for some reason it's hard for me to watch them. Case in point, The Walking Dead. The first episode, it took me a long time to get to maybe get through first and second episode, and then I had to stop because to me it was too scary. Now, in some of those scenes, as you're watching zombies, you would notice that occasionally there are more zombies than the person that's trying to survive, right? And usually, when you're dealing with zombies, if it's always one-on-one, it's pretty much easier to handle than trying to handle multiple, like all of that coming in at once. So what happens is a lot of zombies coming at once, you either run or you pretty much die, right? So that's zombies. Now, how does that relate to work and work intake? Does your developer feel like they're surviving in the zombie land with as much requests as people are coming and demanding from them? Do they have to actually run? Do they survive? Or is it a really strenuous situation for them? Now let's talk about Malaysia, my experience in Malaysia. So one of the things growing up in Malaysia is that back then, so if I'm waiting for public transportation, for example, I see the bus coming, there is no lines, there is no queues. You just go for it. So whoever gets to the bus first gets to board the bus. Now that's a situation where I hate it the most. Partly because I feel it feels unfair to me, and you're now jostling and tussling and pushing people and trying to get onto the bus. It's not something that I enjoy the most. Of course, when I moved to the US, it's very more, in my mind, fair play, very more systematic, right? Where those things are more prevalent, where there are queuing system. Now, of course, today in Malaysia, there are queuing systems now. So when I go back, I feel more comfortable because of that. The other part of it is in Asia, when you're ordering food, especially from like a hawker center or a small store, when you order food, it's all verbal, right? You go there, and there's no specific way of, who do you order from? And you basically just shout an order and then hope the person who's doing the food hears your order and then make it for you. And there's no lines and things like that again. And this also exists, believe it or not, in the US, in Asia market that I go to. And recently, well, a couple of years back, they did change it to where now you have to go to a line, a queue to order, and it makes a lot more sense, a lot more comfortable. So when you have one person, right, trying to do work and multiple people ordering, the way to reduce the tension for the person doing the work and also for the people demanding work is we created a queue, right? A line. People line up, there's an ordering system, people go through that. So what does that have to do with you? Well, if you haven't figured it out, right, from the queuing and from Zombieland that I talked about, it's kind of what our developers has to go through. As a developer, I'm there doing work, but there are people asking me to help them do stuff. Now, the way that we solve this is really simple, right? We make sure we have a list of all the demands, and then we work through those demands one by one, right? We take one off the list one by one. Now, this is something what we call a backlog. So having a single backlog where all the demands are going into, i.e. your work tickets, and then you work off that. It makes it a lot more sense, it makes it a lot more easier, and you can get to it a lot, in my mind, a lot faster, right? Because now you don't have to worry about listening and things like that. So the other part of this is why there are applications that exist that helps you take in order. Your ordering systems, for example, your work management systems, for example, things like Jira, ServiceNow, that allows you to, capture those demands or requests and then, put it in a list for you and for you to pick from. And that's all there is to it. So solving work intake for an individual, especially the problem around there are too many demands and I can't get to it, is really simple. Have a backlog and then work off your backlog. How does this work for entire team then? If your team are working towards the same thing, well then you want to have the same thing. Have one single backlog for your team. Similar to how when you see things when you go to the bank, for example, right? There are queues, there are lines, there are people behind the counters that's working on the incoming clients, right? The customers that come in. See how the line forms, right? From multiple into one line and then split into multiple. So there are multiple different queuing theory that allows you to solve the problem. Similarly, when you go to grocery shopping, right? A lot of people are buying stuff and they want to get to the paying counter to pay. They all line up, right? That is essentially a backlog. So having one single backlog, working off the backlog, that's how you solve it at an individual level and also at a team level. So there you have it. That's step one. Be sure to tune in to my next video that we talk about the next step on what you can do on managing work.